It was a cold, foggy evening when the luxury cruise ship Ocean's Whisper set sail from Southampton. The ship was a floating palace, with glittering chandeliers, grand ballrooms, and passengers dressed in their finest. Among them was Mrs. Eleanor Grayson, a wealthy widow known for her sharp mind and mysterious past. She had boarded the ship alone, her elegant black dress and pearl necklace drawing curious glances from fellow passengers. Eleanor had chosen this cruise to escape the rumors that had haunted her since her husband's sudden death a year ago. But as the ship cut through the dark waters, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The first night on the cruise was marked by a grand dinner in the ship's dining hall. Eleanor sat at a table with a group of strangers, a young couple on their honeymoon, an elderly professor, and a charming man named Victor Lane, who introduced himself as a traveling businessman. Victor was polite and engaging, but something about his piercing blue eyes made Eleanor uneasy. As the evening progressed, the conversation turned to mysteries and unsolved crimes. The professor, Dr. Harold Whittaker, shared stories of famous detective cases, while Victor joked about how easy it would be to commit the perfect crime on a ship. "After all," he said with a sly smile, "the ocean is the perfect place to hide secrets." Eleanor laughed politely, but felt a chill run down her spine. She excused herself early, claiming a headache, and retreated to her cabin. The disappearance. The next morning, the ship was abuzz with news. A passenger had gone missing overnight. It was Margaret Hargrove, a middle-aged woman who had been traveling alone. Her cabin was found empty, her bed neatly made, and her belongings untouched. The ship's crew conducted a thorough search, but there was no sign of her. Eleanor couldn't help but think of Victor's words from the previous night. Was it just a coincidence, or was there something more sinister at play? She decided to keep her eyes and ears open. The clues. Over the next few days, Eleanor began to notice strange things. She saw Victor speaking in hushed tones with the ship's bartender, a burly man with a scar across his cheek. She also overheard Dr. Whittaker arguing with the captain about the missing passenger, insisting that the ship return to port immediately. One evening, while exploring the ship's library, Eleanor stumbled upon a crumpled piece of paper in the corner. It was a torn page from a diary, with a single sentence written in hurried handwriting. "I know what happened to Margaret. Meet me at midnight on the lower deck." Eleanor's heart raced. Was this a clue or a trap? She decided to take the risk. The midnight meeting. At midnight, the lower deck was deserted. The only sound, the gentle lapping of waves against the ship. Eleanor stood in the shadows, her pulse quickening as she waited. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was Dr. Whittaker. "Mrs. Grayson," he whispered, "I'm glad you came. I need your help." Before he could explain, a loud noise echoed through the deck. They turned to see Victor Lane stepping out of the shadows, a sinister smile on his face. "Ah, the widow and the professor," he said mockingly. "How convenient." Eleanor's mind raced. "What do you want, Victor?" Victor's smile faded. "I want what Margaret took from me. She had something valuable, something that belongs to me. And now, thanks to your meddling, I'll have to take care of both of you." The confrontation. Just as Victor lunged toward them, the ship's security team arrived, alerted by a crew member who had overheard the commotion. Victor was quickly subdued, and the truth began to unravel. Margaret Hargrove had been a con artist, working with Victor to steal from wealthy passengers. But she had double-crossed him, taking a priceless necklace he had stolen from a museum. Victor had killed her and thrown her body overboard, hoping to cover his tracks. Dr. Whittaker had suspected Victor from the beginning, but needed proof. torn diary page had been his attempt to lure Victor into revealing himself. The resolution. With Victor in custody, the ship returned to port, and the authorities took over the investigation. Eleanor was hailed as a hero for her bravery, though she insisted she had only done what anyone would have done. As the Ocean's Whisper docked, Eleanor stood on the deck, gazing at the horizon. The cruise had been anything but relaxing, but it had given her something she hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of purpose. She smiled to herself, knowing that some mysteries were meant to be solved, and that even a widow could find adventure on the high seas.